year before my first principalship, I had the opportunity to work at the Maine Department of Education and was assigned randomly to actually be a staff person on the statewide middle-level study group that was happening at that time. And I was really fortunate in that I basically got a year-long course in exemplary middle-level philosophy because the folks that were on that task force were Maine's middle school leaders. So what happened actually is after I did my year with the department, it was kind of on a leave, I started applying for principalships. And the first principalship I applied for was a high school principalship. And lo and behold, I did not get the high school job. But what they did is they turned around and offered me the middle school job. And what the superintendent said was that in the interview, I sounded so much like a middle school person that they decided that I would make a good middle school principal. I accepted the job, and I never looked back. So, Cedric, how about you? Why did you become a middle-level leader?
Well, Chris, my journey is probably, if I had the time to tell the whole thing, would be the most interesting story that you could hear. But for the most part, I actually was assigned all leadership positions in middle school by the urging of my mentors. What they said was, I think it's kind of funny now, back then I wasn't sure how to take it, was that you are sane enough to teach but insane enough to work in a middle school. So essentially what they were telling me was that first they recognized a couple of things. First of all, that middle level education is a specialized position and that it requires really a specialized skill set, and they thought I had that. They also thought that I had a heightened level of ability to be patient, practical, and persistent. And anyone who works in the middle level knows that dealing with the students that we deal with, they come to school babies and they leave adults, and somewhere in between, from bell to bell, they change in varying styles and degrees. But so it takes a great deal of patience to guide and direct them, but also you have to be able to apply some practical, common sense sort of leadership ethics and tenets to the work. But most of all, I think it was my persistence that really said I would never ever give up on a child, and it's something that has guided me thus far in school leadership. They also said I possessed, and this I have I guess a few question marks about. They said I possess, quote, an uncanny ability to inspire others, to support and develop adolescents, and so it just really echoes the sentiment that what we do is really not for everybody. But what we do, once you realize it's for you, then it's something you do forever. And even as a school superintendent, my heart is in the middle school, in the middle schools and in the middle school hallways and classrooms, and I really enjoy doing that. So I'm thankful to those who said they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Fantastic. Vicki.
Well, I was a middle school teacher and was encouraged by my principal to go into administration, and my first administrative job was that of a high school assistant principal. And although I enjoyed it, frankly, I just missed the middle-level kids and I missed their teachers. There was something very special that was lacking. So when the right opportunity came up to apply for a middle-level principalship, I grabbed it and I never looked back and I never regretted it. Now I'm a professor developing the next generation of school leaders, and I work with leaders who are pre-K-12, but my heart is still at the middle level, and I still have tremendous admiration for those teachers and love the kids with whom they work.
Thank you, Vicki. Jill.
Well, Chris, I think I'm the only one here who has not been an administrator. My leadership has been more as the teacher leader. And it really goes back to the day I was hired. My district was opening a brand new 7 through 12 school. And they knew that they wanted the 7th and 8th grade to be in teams, and they were bringing in new teachers plus teachers from the K-8 schools. And they had the foresight at that point to hire 3, I'm not quite sure how to categorize them, but there are 3 consultants that certainly specialized in personal dynamics. And they worked with the teachers that were in the district for a year before the building opened, and then worked with the 7th and 8th grade for 2 years after. And a huge part of that was for everyone to develop a voice, which doesn't always happen in schools. And I was a brand new teacher, so learning to have the confidence to speak up was extremely important. And as a result, my hand tended to go up and volunteer for things, and ended up in some variety of different leadership positions, from team leader to working on big projects like NEASC recertification, etc. And of course, once I had ended up in the middle school, I just couldn't consider going anywhere else.
Great. Thank you, Jill. And Lori?
Well, my story is a little different. I was actually a high school English teacher and had no intentions of going into middle school. I taught 6 years as a high school English teacher and had done my certification work to become an assistant principal if I chose to, but really wasn't doing anything with it. And I was on vacation one summer and got a call that there was a position available at the high school and middle school and I should put in for it. So I did. And got that call that said, guess what, you're going to a middle school. And I had no idea I would even be considered for the middle school position, or I would have never put my name in. I knew nothing about middle school. I worked with, teenagers who could have real conversations, I thought. So I went to a middle school for 2 years as an assistant principal, and my principal who hired me, I owe him a debt of gratitude I can never repay. He believed in me. He knew I could do it. And it was funny, the teachers, it was just such a different atmosphere. As a high school teacher, I can say my mentality was each man out for himself. You got in there, you closed your door, you didn't work on teams, you fought hard for your kids. And I felt like I was a very good, effective teacher, but I just didn't understand the value of working with other teachers. I didn't understand the value of that collaboration. And when I got to middle school as an assistant principal, I found my teachers were training me. I think I was hired to be the leader, and they ended up leading me. And for 2 years, they taught me how important it was to lead and to guide and to work together and to have that teamwork. So at the end of 2 years, I was happy that finally learning what a middle school student was, still very confused about adolescence, and I got that call from my superintendent that said, come down here and see me. And she told me she was moving me to another school to be the principal. And I said, are you sure about this? I don't even know what I'm doing. And she believed in me and said, I think you can do it. She didn't tell me until right before I was being introduced to the staff that they had asked for an older man with no children. And in I walked, 30 years old and 8.5 months pregnant. So it was a challenge to begin with. I still was not sure, honestly, if I was in the right place, if I was where I could best serve students. And year after year, it was probably that third year when I realized middle school was where I was supposed to be. Teachers take care of each other. They fight for each other. Students still laugh at your jokes. They still acknowledge that they need you. They still want to be around you. And I just found that my personality and the type of person that I am really clicked with the middle school student and especially the middle school teacher. I actually found that I was able to collaborate and work with middle school teachers and students at a level I would have never given myself credit for had someone not believed in me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lori. Patty?
When I went to college to become a teacher, it was going to be an elementary teacher, probably around 3rd grade. And I was hired as an elementary music teacher and taught K through 6 and discovered I really resonated with the older children. And later on, after doing that for about 4 or 5 years, our district, or I moved into a 6th grade in an elementary classroom and taught that for 6 or 7 years. And then our district decided to move to this new thing called middle schools. And they were moving the 6th graders up to what had been a junior high and making it 6, 7, 8. And I was going to go there and take care of my babies no matter what. So got involved in middle level education at that time, encouraged by colleagues and administrators to go into administration, moved over into a neighboring district as an assistant principal at a school as it was going through a transition from a 7-8 junior high to a 6-7-8 middle school. As a new assistant principal, hired the first part of August. I started school out, and the end of the first week of school, I had a call from my superintendent at home at night with his first words being, "Are you sitting down?" And that was not a real comforting thing to hear from your superintendent. The principal had had a heart attack, and fortunately it was mild. He was in the hospital for about a month, but it was really trial by fire. Later I became principal of that school. And during that time, I became involved at a state level with my middle school affiliate, and then later on the board and president of the then National Middle School Association, today the Association for Middle Level Education. And then after retiring as a principal in Oregon, I moved out here to Virginia to work for NASSP, and I'm still in the job of supporting middle level leaders.
That's great, Patty. Thank you. And Drew.
Well, I mean, it's an outstanding question, and it's a difficult one too, especially after hearing everyone's just wonderful stories. As it was with my teaching career, I was driven to middle-level leadership, really to serve others. I know it sounds kind of trite, but that was my main goal. You know, I loved the classroom, and Lori, like you, I taught high school English for 4 years in Virginia, and then I found the glories of middle school and taught middle school language arts, social studies, and reading for another 6 years. And then I wanted to continue that work, you know, to work with others and to help students grow, to help families connect, and to support and celebrate middle-level teachers and raise the praise for the middle level. And, you know, the assistant principalship and principalship helped me do that. And, you know, I was able to embrace middle school because for once, something made sense to me. You know, I've always been kind of out of step with the world. And as they say in Georgia, all the cheese wasn't on the cracker. And this was finally a place.
I'm in Georgia.
Hey, there you go. So this was finally a place where I felt like I fit in. They understood me, and I understood them, and there we go.
There we go. Well, some great introductions there. And I'd like to